A blessed day to you all sowers. Welcome to another episode of Seasons of Womanhood. Today we will be talking about another controversial topic. Women in leadership. Why are we falling behind? That's a good question. When I did my research, I looked at the top 10 billionaires, both in the Philippines and in the world, and it took me, to scroll multiple times and realize I was over the 10th before I saw a woman's name. And not just top billionaires, top millionaires, it's always record-breaking if women, make a name in various sectors or events, even in sports. I watched Physical 100 Season 2 with my husband, and it's a good venue for gender equality, as they say, where men and women are mixed into, fighting for being the best when it comes to physicality, when it comes to physical strength, regardless of their background in sports. So it made me think, why are we falling behind? Is it because we are trying hard to fit into something we are not designed to do or excel in, something like that? Well, we will talk about that today. And trust me, I feel you. Women, we feel like challenged when we seem to be the underdogs. But is it really like that? Are we really underdogs? Okay, let me tell you a story that's very close to my heart because this recently happened. So I have this friend. She's a professional. She's in the medical field, and during the pandemic, the information that she shared over social media actually clicked. It didn't just went viral once, but it consistently went viral. She started this movement that's very revolutionary and health related, which caused many people, to follow her and the lifestyle that she advocates. So she grew a really big community, and after the pandemic, when she organized conferences and events, thousands of people would go to the event. She had, let's say, an impact, especially to Filipinos and even to overseas Filipino workers, because it's in social media. So her platforms are very accessible. She had programs, that catered to the needs of people health-wise. So wow, she really made a name for herself. But I assure you, the name or success itself wasn't her goal. She was advocating for something so strong, so relevant, and I consider this a treasure, which actually I think many people resonated with me. That's why they also followed her. So she was able to establish that credibility, among the people, and she was single then. And then I felt carried away with the journey that she's sharing, not just about the food that she eats or her lifestyle, but even her love life. So she started sharing it when she met her then boyfriend, now husband, at the peak of, we could say, her fame. Things didn't really change after she got married to this guy. And after a few months, they had a wonderful baby girl. And months passed, she was still organizing these events, and I was so blessed. Together with my husband, we were part of some of her events, and we witnessed her leadership. And this time, sometime 2 years ago, maybe, she organized this event with her newborn already in her life, and she shared with us, with her team, how life has become more challenging than it used to be because she now has her baby girl, and it really seemed like her priorities changed. No, it didn't seem like her priorities changed. It really did change, and she noticed how, this, we can say, career also affected her family life, and she wanted to give her full attention to her daughter, and so she decided to give up, like in the meantime, this community that she has been growing. But she hasn't really taken her hands off. It's just that, well, we can say she stepped down from her leadership and gave chance to more advocates to rise up and still lead the community. So the community is still there, intact. However, her content creation and her being an icon of this community, eventually she gave that up. I can't say this will be forever, but this is because she transitioned to full-time motherhood. And I think, I'm not yet a mother, but the way I feel about how she shared her desire to channel her energy and give her all to her child, apart from her career in the medical field, I think she will never regret this. And I think that this is the best that she can do for now, because her family is the most important thing for her, especially at this season of her life. So I'm not saying that this is going to be forever. Maybe in the future she's going to have a comeback, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So what is my point here? Women, the world expects us to show up all the time, but naturally, especially when being a wife and motherhood come in to our life, our priorities changed. It's not, being in the top 100 billionaires, being in the top 100 millionaires, being one of the most influential women that becomes our priority. It's actually our family, and that is natural. I think comparing it with, let's say, men and their role in the family, it's so much easier for them to be a husband and a father while being excellent in, let's say, their career, especially if they're in the corporate world or in politics, let's say, for example, because that is the essence of being a husband, being a father. You provide for your family. You're supposed to thrive in your career because that is how the Lord blesses your family. Generally speaking, I know there are cases when the arrangement between the spouses are different, but in general. And when it comes to women, what happens when you get pregnant? We have this so-called maternity leave, right? So that's how many months, and you're going to have to take a break from your job whether you like it or not, because you are going to give birth, or you have just given birth, and that is just a woman's nature. So what I'm saying is, we can't be like men, consistent, in terms of putting that time and effort in our career, because when motherhood steps in, that's a different story. So do you get what I'm trying to say here? Comment below if you guys can relate with this, especially sa mga moms natin dyan, no? I'll give you some more stories, and I'll mention a powerful women, especially in the context of the Philippine politics. You know, Miriam Defensor Santiago, if that rings a bell. I really respect and admire this woman. You know, Vice President Sara Duterte and former Vice President Leni Robredo are some of the names that don't just ring a bell, but we immediately recognize, especially if you are a Filipino. They are, if I may say, icons in politics. And why did I specifically choose these three? Well, that's because we all know and we have seen how they thrive over the late Miriam Santiago, how she thrived in her career and in public service. But you know what's the difference between Miriam and my friend who temporarily gave up her, let's say, influence in the social media community? What's the difference between the two of them? Well, Miriam actually excelled, and reached the peak of her career when her kids were already past like the toddler stage. Okay, she didn't have to nurse her kids, and she didn't have to do around-the-clock care for them. By the time she excelled in the politics, and she even ran for presidency, right? And so her attention was solely, well, not really solely, her attention was focused more on her career than, let's say, her family or her children. She can now do things side by side, knowing that she doesn't have to do around-the-clock care for her kids. In the same way, Vice President Sara Duterte and former Vice President Leni Robredo, their kids were mostly at the age where they can be independent. They don't need to be there 24/7 to their kids, to their family, and so they're able to put more time, effort in doing their passion. Of course, this availability of being a mother of, let's say, teenagers or grown-ups allowed them to fully dedicate themselves to public service without the immediate responsibilities of nursing their children. That is what I'm talking about. Lastly, I have one more story to share with you. This is one of my favorites. Parang we're leaning more into politics, kasi what's almost the elections. Aside from that, there are just many iconic women, not really as politicians, but some of them are behind the greatest success of the politicians that we look up to now. And one of these women who I also look up to is Miss Connie Reyes. If you don't know, she is the mom of Pasig City Mayor Vico Sotto. So while I did some readings about their life, I realized that Connie Reyes was actually thriving in her career when she was still single. And of course, there were many opportunities, being in show business, to really build, your name, your finances, your life, your future, until, pregnancy came and motherhood entered into her season. When she stepped into that, she had Vico. She gave up, opportunities in show business because she wanted to focus on her child, on raising him well. And I must say, it was all worth it. Connie Reyes' sacrifices and the values that he planted and taught Vico shaped him into the leader that he is now. And many people are looking up to him, He is one of, if not the only, politician who has cleared his name against corruption. So his mother, Connie Reyes, her decision to step back from fame and prioritize her son and raise him with integrity and with the right Christian values paid off in a way that not just impacted their family, but an entire city. Well, at least for now. And in the future, actually even now, he is already blessing the whole country with the example that he is in the city. So yes, my dear sowers, my point is, in these various sectors, in different areas of our lives, it is only humans' standards that calls, women to be equally, especially in terms of number, competent as men in the corporate world, in the politics. Those are just all man-made. Because what if sower? We have a greater calling, and it is not measured by being one of the top 10 wealthiest in the world. What if there's something greater than politics, greater than the corporate world, greater than social media? A few episodes back, we discussed that wives, are helpers to their husbands. It's naturally women's role and design to be a helper to man, and it doesn't make us less than them. It's a team up, and the great teamwork is that we be a helper to them in many different ways, especially if you are a spouse, just as God is a helper to each and every one of us. And that doesn't make God any less than humans, right? What if our greater calling is to raise leaders, to support husbands to thrive in their careers so they will impact not just their companies but the world? What if, sower, you are being called to do something greater than yourself? That is the beauty of being a woman. It is such an honor to be used by God to stand side by side with your husband and help him to be the best version of himself so he can bless the world. It doesn't have to come entirely to you for it to be done through you. Mothers, we are called to raise Christian kids with good Christian values, so eventually they will be able to influence their peers, and when they grow up, they will be the strong Christian leaders of our country. And who knows? They might bless the whole world. And it just takes the help of a woman. So I pray, sower, that you will see our design and our role in a different lens. Again, we are called for something greater than ourselves, and that is the most beautiful thing God has given us. So before we say goodbye, let me remind you to always seek God. Ask Him how you can be a blessing to your husband, to your children, or wherever you are right now in your career. If you are single, it's the best time to build your career. But remember to bring with you in your workplace God. Just shine His light, and your colleagues and the people around you will see the radiance of His glory in the work that you do. And for sure, God will prosper it. That's no doubt. Own your growth and gratitude. I hope that our topic gave you a different glimpse, of our role for eternity, and our greater role in this broken world, and how you have been a big help to your husband, to your children, to the people around you. Own it. That's your growth. And own your gratitude with an opportunity to serve other people with the gift God has given us as women. And walk with someone who, may be struggling with the idea that she can never be equal with any man, or struggles with the fact that leadership isn't just about excelling in the corporate world or in politics. Or maybe those who seem to be stuck in their careers, and those who are, planning to start having children and how it's going to affect their lives. Walk with them and pray for them. And if that is you, so know that you are not alone. We are here with you. I hope that I'm being of help to you today. And yeah, I'm just so blessed to have shared my thoughts. I want to know yours, so hit me up. Well, that will be all for today. I wish you a blessed day ahead and a prosperous, joy-filled week ahead. God bless you.